Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial on how to make this pumpkin. During the fall season, a lot of pumpkin pies, pumpkin spice drinks, pumpkin spice everything. So let's join the fun and create our own pumpkin. It's a very simple and easy process, and in it I make suggestions on how to add leaves and possibly a tree branch. Come join me. Let's have fun making this fall pumpkin together. The materials and tools that we will be using to make this crocheted pumpkin is, for our leaves, I have some green. It's more of an olive color green. I have a second shade of green, which is a lighter color of olive green. I have some Red Heart Super Saver, and yes, it's in the color pumpkin. Pair of scissors, a tree branch that I kind of broke off that had already fallen to give it a little character, and my crochet hook is a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. We will also be using a needle. Now this particular needle is designed for wool, so it's called a wool needle, but if you have a tapestry needle, that will work just fine. Before I begin any project, I like to pull yarn from my skein or from the ball. This helps with my tension so that I don't have to worry about the skein following me or becoming too tight because I ran into a knot inside the skein. So go ahead and pull some out, and let's get started by adding a slip knot to our hook. After we've added our slip knot, let's make a chain of 20. I'm going to stop right here. Please pause your video and chain 20. After you have chained 20, place your thumb on that last chain and chain 2 more. Then we're going to start with a half double crochet, going back into that chain that you covered with your thumb. Continue making half double crochets until you get to the end of your row. You should have 20 half double crochets. At the end of the row, let's go ahead and chain 2 and turn our work. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be making front post half double crochets, but we're not going to be making it around the post per se. So follow me. This first one, you see this loop right here? We're going to go under it and come up on the other side of the stitch, draw up your loop, and then complete your half double crochet. And on to your next stitch, we're going to go into that same loop that we pulled up, and we're going to go across, and we're going to complete our front post half double crochet. Continue this across your row, double check your count, make sure that you have 20 half double crochets when you get to the end of your row. Let me show you what it looks like already. You can see the little braid look that we're going to have. So go ahead and continue, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So how did you do? At the end, we're going to go ahead and chain 2 turn our work, and we're going to repeat the same thing that we just did. So we're going to go into this part of the chain right here and go under where that stitching is, come up into the stitch and do a front post half double crochet. And as I said before, don't go around the post, just do the right here above that little loop that creates that half double crochet. So we're going to go into the same loop and come up under the next one, and here we have number 2. Here's number 3. Okay, can you see the cable already? Doesn't that look nice? Continue this 1 row repeat until you have 12 inches in length of this 20 row front post half double crochet, and I'll meet you there. After I completed my 12 inches for my rows, I did 37 rows, and I cut some extra yarn off, approximately 18 inches, so that we can start sewing this together. Let's go ahead, get our needle, and go ahead and thread on the longest end. So let's take our yarn and go through the eye of our needle. One thing that I like suggesting about these wool needles is that you can put your yarn through a lot easier, and if you're going through a bulk, you don't have to worry about the thickness of the yarn and the thickness of the needle and it not going through. With this little fish line that they have on here, it really holds pretty well. So we've completed. Let's go ahead and bring our sides together. Now you notice when you ended, you're going to have this chain stitch here. So what you're going to want to do is try to make it so that only the chain stitch will show. So I picked up on one end, and I'm going to come back through just like we were doing our stitching and pick up. So when we tighten our stitches, you'll see that the ribbing will continue with the pattern. So go ahead and do that running stitch as you go down till you get to the end. Don't cut your yarn, and I'll show you what to do when you get there. At the end of your row, make sure you lock that stitch in by going around that last stitch a couple of times. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of these chain twos that we have here, and we're just going to do a little running stitch all the way around. So can you see how we have this going? Continue all the way around, and I'll meet you there. So I've made it all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and pull it tight. This is going to be the bottom of our pumpkin. So once you pull it tight, not extremely tight, but let's just pull it tight so that we can have the bottom closed. You want to like crisscross it a little bit, and that'll help the bottom stay closed. Your mine loosened up a little bit. So I'm going to do like a X to kind of help keep it closed. And I'm going to keep going over this a few more times. Do not cut your yarn, and I'll meet you after you do it a few more times. So here you'll see that after I go ahead and put this on, I'm going to take my needle and bring it through and pull it through to the other side. And I'll have like a little X on the bottom. After you pull it through, you want to go ahead and secure it as if you were finishing up a button so it doesn't pull through again. Whatever you're choosing to use as stuffing, let's go ahead and stuff it now, and then before you do that, take your needle and come out in your chain 2 on our top piece. Go ahead and fill it with what stuffing you prefer, and I'll meet you there. Now, I think I'm probably the most thriftiest person I know. I'm using plastic bags to stuff my pumpkins with, so I'm just coiling everything up in the middle, and I've put 2 in here so far. I'm stretching it over it just a little bit. And so I'm bringing up everything. And I think that'll do me right there. So I've used 3 bags to be in the center. So I pulled up my end. I want to do a locking stitch. So I'm going to go through this a couple of times. Now let's do our running stitch through our chain 2s. Go ahead and do that all the way around. When you get to the other side, pull it tight and lock it in. And I'll meet you there. Now before I pull mine too tight, I'm going to take my stick here and I'm going to stick it in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull it as tight as I can get. And then I'm going to go ahead and lock it with my stitch here. So you go ahead and do that so you don't watch me struggle on camera too. And then we're going to be sewing on our leaves. So go ahead and do that. You'll see that I got a nice tall one here. And let's secure this on. So the next thing we're going to do is start with a slip knot. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And slip stitch back into that first stitch of our chain. We're going to be taking our tail and going around our ring as we add stitches to make this particular leaf. So chain 1, and in the first stitch you're going to make a single crochet. The second stitch is a half double crochet. The next stitch is an extended half double crochet, which means we're going to start just like we're going to do our half double crochet, but we're going to go through the first chain, and this will add just a little bit of height, and then through all 3 loops. Can you see that just a little bit of height right there? Now the next stitch we're going to do is our double crochet. I'm going to do 2 of those. Pull your work over a little bit. Then we're going to do 3 trebles. Trebles you wrap twice on your hook. Here's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. So now we're going to repeat what we did before. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 1 extended half double crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. Here we have one little leaf right here. We're going to slip stitch into our ring, and now we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to come back into, we're going to skip the first 2 and come back into the third one and make a slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch the rest of the way back to the chain 5 ring. Oops. And then we'll slip stitch into the ring and slip stitch into the first single crochet, and using our scissors, go ahead and cut us a little tail, pull that in through, and here we have our leaf for our pumpkin. With our dark green, we're going to be making a curly. I like curlies. I have curly hair. Okay, so let's chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so we're going to be making half double crochets in our stitching. So we're going to skip this first one, and in to the second one we're going to be placing 3 half double crochets. In our second one, 3 half double crochets, and we're going to continue this amount all the way down. As you're doing this, you're going to notice that your half double crochets are going to start to spiral, and that's what we're looking for. We want it to spiral. See how it's starting to curl already? Okay, so continue 3 for each stitch all the way down, and I'll meet you there. So you notice how mine curled all by itself. I hope yours did the same. If it didn't, all you got to do is twist it just a little bit, and it'll encourage that curly. So at the end, go ahead and leave yourself a little tail. We'll use this for sewing on our little curly here. Just pull it through that last loop, and we'll be good to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and crochet a green leaf with this darker green as well. So let's chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and in our next stitch we're going to place a single crochet in each of our stitches. Continue to the end of the row. So at the end of the row you should have 9 single crochets. So let's chain 1 and turn our work. In our first, we're going to do a single crochet. In our second, we're going to do a half double crochet. Our third, will get a double crochet. Our fourth will get a treble crochet, which is twice on the hook. The next one is going to get 3 wraps on our hook. The double treble. Okay, can you see how it's building out? So our next one will be a double, just a regular treble. The next one is the double crochet, the half double crochet, and then our single crochet in the very last stitch. So you should have a nice little curve right here. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to pivot our work because we're going to be working on the back side here. So here we're going to start off with a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, a treble, which is twice around the hook, our next stitch will be the double treble, 3 times wrap on the hook, the treble, twice wrap on the hook, the double crochet, the half double crochet, and the single crochet. We're going to take and slip stitch into that first single crochet on the other side, and here we have our leaf. So let's chain 3 and slip stitch back in each of those 3. And slip stitch into the chain right there. We're going to go ahead and finish it off. And here's our leaf. Now it may not be perfectly flat, but what leaf is perfectly flat? It's doing what I want it to do. Let's go ahead and attach it to our pumpkin. So to do the final securing, I just do a bunch of like loops, and then I'm going to take the end here and just, because it is a decoration, it's really not going to have any stress, and I'm going to pull it out down here and then pull it just enough and cut it close. So here I have my little pumpkin. So the next thing we're going to want to do is add our leaves. In the meanwhile, we want to take some of these extra ones. But this green, the long green one, the one you finished it off, we're going to go ahead and go back and use that to tie it so we can hang it there. So go ahead and finish up your loose ends, but keep one string so that we can adhere it to our pumpkin. So I'm going to start with my little curly Q one. I'll go ahead and I tied it off. So here I'm just going to attach it real close to my stick. Just pick up a few stitches and then come through here. Pick it up a couple more times. And then I'm going to take it and go down the green, right here. I'm going to go over a few yarns so I don't go back through the same hole, and then cut it off. It ain't gonna go nowhere because we're not using it for any weight or anything. So here we got a little curly right there. Let's add our wavy leaf. I know it should have been flat, but sometimes you get what you get, huh? Okay, so I'm going to put this kind of across from it. I'm going to do the same thing, pick up a few stitches. I'll pick up the end of the stem. And then I'm going to come down here and go through some of the stitching. And then, oops, I lost it out of my needle. And then go back so that your weave doesn't come out. Let's add our last one. And then we can call it done. So where do we want it? Do we want it like right here? That looks cute. Put it on top of the other stem. There we go. And then come on down. And we can go around some of our stitching here. Remember to head back so you don't lose what you put in. And I think we have a completed pumpkin. So what do you think? The stick might be a little too long. I can always cut it down. But for right now, I think it looks really cute. Thank you for joining me in making this pumpkin. I hope you have a nice fall season. Hope you come back and join me again. So, until next time, bye-bye.